The sky over Earth looked the same, blue and wide, but something in the air felt different to Thalen. He stepped out of the transport pod, boots pressing into the soft green grass of his childhood home. Birds chirped in the trees, wind brushed through the leaves, and the scent of fresh soil hit him like a warm memory. It had been 4 years since he left for the outer colonies. 4 years of alien worlds, strange cultures, and one unexpected connection that never left his heart. Her name was Virel, not a human name, not even close, but her voice had been like a song, and her skin shimmered faintly under moonlight. She came from the planet Alari, a place where emotions weren't spoken but felt, shared directly through touch. Their worlds had collided during a joint project, humans and Alari working to terraform a drifting ice moon. Cold and brutal work. But when night came, when the stars glowed high, he and Virel had talked for hours. Then days. Then more. Thalen never told anyone what happened. Not because it was a secret. He just didn't have the words. How could he describe what it felt like to hold her hands and feel her emotions flow into him like warm waves? To be understood without saying a thing? It was beautiful, strange, addictive, and terrifying. One morning, she was gone. The Ellery ship had left early, and she'd vanished without warning. Just a message. Return to your Earth. When it is time, I will find you. Now, here he was, on Earth, no Virel, just silence. He moved back into his grandfather's old cabin, deep in the quiet hills. Days passed. He fixed up the place, chopped wood, walked the trails, tried to forget the curve of her smile and the way she'd shiver when he ran his fingers down her back. He tried. But Virel had left a mark no time could erase. It was 3 months later, during a quiet evening, that he saw the glow in the woods. Pale blue, soft, humming with energy. His chest tightened. He stepped out onto the porch, eyes locked on the light. It pulsed, then moved. He followed it without thinking, heart pounding like a drum, through the trees, past the creek. Into the hollow where the light floated down, and she was there. Virel. She wore a cloak of silver-threaded silk, her skin glowing faintly with the same soft blue shimmer he remembered. Her eyes, deep, swirling lavender, met his with a rush of emotion, joy, relief, longing, and something else, something heavy. She stepped forward, and the cloak parted just enough to show her belly, rounded, large, very large. Thalen's breath caught in his throat. Virel, he whispered. Is that? She didn't speak, not with words. Instead, she reached for his hand and placed it gently on her stomach. And he felt them. Not just one, not 2. 6. Tiny flickers of emotion. Faint, delicate, like stars blinking in. The night sky. His knees nearly gave out. They're mine? He asked, voice barely holding together. She smiled softly, glowing tears gathering at the corners of her alien eyes. All 6, she whispered. Thalen nearly fainted. Thalen sat beside her in the clearing, barely able to form a thought. The night wrapped around them like a quiet blanket, but inside him, everything roared. Questions, emotions, shock, and something else, something warmer, deeper. Virel's hand rested over his. Her touch was soft but steady, as if grounding him while his mind spun. She wasn't just here, she was back, and carrying his children. Their children. He glanced at her belly again, the way it curved, full and glowing faintly beneath her robe. 6. Not 1 or 2. 6. How was that even possible? She must have felt his confusion, because her lips curled into a gentle smile. Your biology. Intense. she said in her quiet, musical voice. Ilari bodies adapt. He blinked. Adapt? She nodded slowly. You gave everything. Your emotions, your strength. My body responded. Multiples are rare, but with you, it became certain. Thalen swallowed hard. So, they're healthy? I mean, are they okay? Varel moved his hand again, pressing it gently to the side of her belly. And there, he felt it. The tiniest shift, a movement, then another. They are strong, she whispered. They feel your energy inside. Me, that nearly broke him, not from pain, but from the weight of it all. His life had changed in an instant. He hadn't expected to ever see her again, much less this. And yet, some part of him, deep down, had always hoped. Why didn't you come sooner? He asked, voice low. Varel looked away, her gaze touching the trees. A Lari tradition. We do not return to a mate until the bond is stable. Until the children grow past danger. It was hard. I missed you. Every day. Thalen stared at her. I would have helped you. I would have been there. I know, she said softly. That's why I came now. I want them to know you, to feel what I felt. A cool wind rustled through the trees. Thalen rose slowly and reached out a hand. Come back to the cabin with me, he said. You don't need to stay in the woods. Not like this. She hesitated, then took his hand. Her skin was cooler than his, but pulsed gently with warmth beneath the surface. As they walked back through the forest together, he kept glancing at her belly. It still felt like a dream, a wild, impossible, beautiful dream. At the cabin, he opened the door and led her inside. The place was small but cozy, wooden beams, soft lights, shelves filled with old books and trinkets. She looked around curiously, touching everything like it was a treasure. This was your home? She asked. He nodded. It was my grandfather's. Now it's mine. She turned to him, her face filled with something between wonder and peace. It feels safe. They like it. He gave a small laugh. You can feel that? She gently placed his hand on her stomach again. Everything they feel, I feel, and now so do you. His heart ached in a strange, beautiful way. He made her some tea, unsure what Ilari even drank, but she sipped it slowly and smiled. They sat near the fireplace, no words needed, just quiet presence. She leaned into him, her head resting on his shoulder, and he wrapped an arm around her without thinking. They stayed like that for a long time. Later, she whispered, "They'll be born soon." His eyes widened. Soon? As in, within one Earth cycle, maybe less. Panic and joy danced in his chest. I have no idea how to be a father, he admitted. You already are, she said. You gave them life. They know your heart. Stared into the fire. I'm going to try. I'm going to protect you, all of you. Varel touched his cheek, her fingers glowing faintly. That's all I ever wanted. And as the night deepened, Thalen realized something. He wasn't scared. Anymore, he was ready. Or at least he would be. The days passed like soft whispers, one blending into the next. Thalen's quiet cabin transformed into something warmer, more alive. Varel filled the rooms with a strange but peaceful energy, like moonlight had settled into the wood. She moved, slowly now, her belly round and heavy, glowing gently beneath the flowing fabric she wore. He caught himself staring at her often, not in shock anymore, but in awe. She glowed. Every time she laughed, the air around her seemed to shimmer. Her laughter was rare, but when it came, it made Thalen feel like he was hearing music from a distant galaxy. And the babies, his children, were growing stronger. He could feel them. Not just kicks, but emotions. Tiny bursts of curiosity, contentment, even mischief. Varel had explained that Ilari children connected emotionally before birth. It meant they already knew him, knew her. Thalen worked hard to prepare. He built a second room, hammering each nail with more care than anything he'd ever done. He gathered soft materials for bedding. Varel said they wouldn't need traditional cribs. Ilari newborns preferred closeness, warmth, scent. So he crafted a large round nest-like bed in the center of the new room, layering it with blankets and soft woven threads Varel had brought in a small shimmering satchel. She'd even planted small glowing crystals in corners of the room. When darkness fell, they lit up like tiny stars, pulsing with a gentle rhythm. The children responded to it. He felt it when he stood close. One night, as the wind howled outside and rain tapped against the cabin windows, Thalen sat beside her, running a cloth gently over her feet. "You're quiet," Varel murmured, her voice soft like rain itself. He looked up at her, his hands still. "I'm thinking." "Of what?" "Of what comes next." She tilted her head. "Are you afraid again?" He smiled faintly. "Not afraid. Just in awe. Still trying to believe it's all real." She leaned forward, placing her cool fingers over his heart. "This is real. You are their father. And you are mine, Thalen." His heart stuttered. "Yours?" She nodded. "The Ilari don't form bonds lightly. When I touched your soul, I knew." He swallowed, warmth rising in his chest. "Then you're mine too." "Yes," she said, eyes glowing. "Completely." They sat there for a moment, surrounded by crackling firelight and the soft rhythm of rain. Then Varel shifted slightly, pressing his hand to her belly again. "They're listening," she said, smiling. "They like your voice. Sing to them." Thalen blinked. "Sing? I'm not much of a singer." "They don't care about the notes," she said. "They care about your heart." So he did. He sang an old earth lullaby, voice low and rough, unsure. But as he sang, something changed. The babies stirred, gently. A warm wave of love filled the room like a scent, like sunlight through glass. Varel closed her eyes, her hand wrapped around his. "They are happy," she whispered. That night, Thalen couldn't sleep. He walked outside under the stars, the cold air stinging his cheeks. He stared up, heart full. Somewhere up there was the planet she came from, and now, here she was. Not just her, but them, his family. The word hit him hard. Family. He'd never thought of having one. Not like this. Not with someone from a different world, not with 6 soon-to-be-born children inside an alien woman who somehow made his heart feel more understood than anyone ever had. He whispered into the night, "I'll protect them. I swear." The wind blew softly through the trees, and maybe, just maybe, the stars above were listening. Varel's breathing had changed. Thalen noticed it before she even spoke. They were sitting together, early morning light streaming through the windows, casting soft gold across her glowing skin. She shifted suddenly, her hands pressing against her swollen belly. Her breath caught, shallow and sharp. Thalen dropped the cup of tea he'd just made, the mug hitting the floor with a dull thud. He was by her side in a second. "Varel." She looked up at him, her expression calm. But her voice trembled just slightly. "It's time." His heart raced, nearly stopping. "Now." She nodded, her hands tightening around his. "They are ready. All 6. He stared at her. Okay. What do we do? Do you need anything? Should I get something? Is there pain?" She touched his lips with her cool fingers. "You are enough." That calmed him more than any explanation. He helped her move slowly to the birthing nest in the new room. The soft glowing crystals around the walls brightened slightly, as if they, too, sensed what was coming. Varel settled, onto the bed, legs folded, breathing steady and deep. Thalen sat beside her, wiping her brow with a warm cloth, heart thudding hard in his chest. "I've never delivered a baby before," he said, voice shaking slightly. "Let alone 6. You don't need to. Ilari births are guided by energy, emotion, connection. Just stay with me." He held her hands. "I'm not going anywhere." The room seemed to glow brighter. Varel closed her eyes and let out a long breath. A hum vibrated in the air, soft at first, then deeper, like a sound from the earth itself. Her body glowed faintly, skin shifting to silver blue under the light. Thalen watched in awe. It was nothing like a human birth. She leaned back slowly, her body moving in a smooth rhythm, almost like a dance. The light around her pulsed in time with her breath. Then, a sound. A small, high-pitched note, like a bell. Varel opened her eyes. The first, and there, emerging from the glow, was a tiny form. Delicate, luminous, wrapped in a gentle shimmer of light. Thalen's breath caught. The child had small, pointed ears like Varel's, but soft brown skin like his. Tiny fingers reached out blindly, glowing faintly. Varel lifted the baby gently, placing them against her chest. "A daughter," she whispered. "She looks like you." Tears welled in Thalen's eyes before he even realized. He laughed softly, choking on it. "She's perfect." But it wasn't over. The light pulsed again. One by one, the others came. 2 sons, then another daughter. Then twins, tiny, glowing boys, holding each other even before they opened their eyes. Varel never screamed. She breathed, hummed, moved with grace and control, glowing brighter with each birth. And Thalen never left her side. He held her hand, wiped her face, spoke softly to the children as they arrived. By the end, the nest was full of life. 6 newborns, wrapped in the shimmering warmth of their mother's presence. Each one different, some with silvery skin, some with traces of Thalen's dark hair. Some had Ilari markings on their foreheads, some opened eyes that glowed like stars. Thalen didn't know how to feel it all at once. His heart wasn't built for this much emotion. Varel looked exhausted, but radiant. She leaned into him, eyes heavy. "They're safe. We did it." He kissed her forehead. "You did it." She smiled faintly. "You helped. You were everything I needed." He looked down at the 6 tiny lives curled together in the nest. They were sleeping already, little chests rising and falling in quiet rhythm. Thalen whispered, "I didn't know I could love something so fast." "They're part of you," she whispered. "They always will be." That night, Thalen didn't sleep. He sat beside the nest, watching each little chest rise and fall. He counted fingers, traced their features gently. He whispered promises they couldn't understand yet, but he meant every word. Varel slept soundly beside him, her hand resting near the baby's, her breathing calm. And Thalen, once just a quiet man in a lonely cabin, became a father to 6 stars born of love and wonder. The next few weeks passed like a dream Thalen never wanted to wake from. His days were no longer quiet. They were filled with tiny sounds, soft whimpers, gentle coos, sleepy sighs. The cabin that once echoed with wind and silence now pulsed with life. The 6 little ones, each unique, each mysterious and beautiful, brought light to every corner of the home. Thalen and Varel had named them all. Ilari names, with soft syllables and glowing meanings. Ariel, the eldest daughter, quiet and watchful, always the first to open her eyes. Theon and Kairos, the first twin sons, full of energy and wonder. Mile, the second daughter, always reaching for her father with her tiny glowing hands. And the last 2, the smallest Air and Solon, who rarely let go of each other, even in sleep. Virel said Ilari children formed emotional bonds early. These 6 had already connected deeply, with her, with each other, and with Thalen. He would lie in the nest, with them sometimes, letting them crawl over him, tangle in his arms, fall asleep against his chest. They glowed brighter near him. Warmth followed his touch. Sometimes when he spoke, they'd hum softly in response, not words, just sounds of recognition and safety. "I don't think I've ever been this tired," he said one morning, leaning against the doorway, dark circles under his eyes. "But you've never been this happy either," Virel replied, brushing a curl of hair from his forehead. He looked at her, really looked, and smiled. "No, I haven't." Virel had changed too. She was stronger now, her movements light again, her smile fuller. She carried herself like someone who had given the universe 6 new stars and knew it. Yet, she still looked at Thalen like he was the miracle. One evening they stood outside watching the sky. The children were all asleep, curled together like glowing pebbles under soft cloth. The stars above twinkled gently, and the moon painted Virel's skin with silver light. She turned to Thalen and touched his chest. "When I fled my world, I thought I would die alone. I didn't believe in destiny. Not really." Thalen tilted his head. "But now?" She smiled. "Now I believe the universe led me here. To you. To this place. To this love." He leaned in, pressing his forehead against hers. "Then the universe did one thing right." They kissed, slow, deep, filled with everything unsaid. The wind whispered through the trees, the stars watched in silence, and the soft glow from the cabin behind them pulsed like a living heart. Later that night, Thalen lay beside the sleeping. Babies, arms around Virel, her head resting on his shoulder. She whispered, almost like a breath, "There's something I need to tell you." He turned slightly. "What is it?" "When I first arrived, I didn't plan to stay. I thought it was temporary, a place to hide, to survive." He waited, listening. "But now," she paused, her hand resting gently over his. "Now I can't imagine being anywhere else. You made me feel safe, loved. You gave them a father, and me a home." He kissed her temple. "And you gave me a reason to live." She smiled. "You were never meant to be alone, Thalen. You were always meant for this, for us." He pulled her closer, watching the soft rise and fall of the 6 tiny bodies in the nest. "I'll protect them," he said. "Always." "I know," she whispered, "and they'll love you forever." The night grew still. Outside, the stars shimmered like distant promises. Inside, a human man and an alien woman held each other close, surrounded by the soft glowing breaths of 6 new lives. Thalen didn't know what the future held. Maybe one day the children would leave this planet. Maybe their powers would grow. Maybe others from Virel's world would come. But for now, here, in this tiny cabin hidden beneath the stars, everything was perfect. He had found love in the most impossible place, and when Virel whispered one last thing before sleep, it made his heart leap. "They're yours, Thalen. All 6. And this time, he didn't faint. He smiled and held them all closer.